Part 24. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 231. Chapter 231. She shouldn't have agreed to him. How could he do this? She didn't even dare to move in his arms. Baby, help me. The man's voice became even lower and hoarse. It was indescribably and sultry. Just listening to his voice made Xiao Mianmian's heart tremble. Her face was as hot as fire, and she didn't dare to move in his arms. Her eyes were red with anxiety. Can't you solve it yourself? They men, aren't they already good at that? He can do it too. Why do you have to ask her to help? Wife. The man buried his head in her neck and nuzzled her, and even acted coquettishly towards her. I don't want to solve it by myself, please help me. The sound of wife made Xiao Mianmian's heart beat wildly again. Asterisk. At this moment, Mo Yesi looked satisfied. Although this method is not completely enjoyable, it is much better than holding it in all the time. He finally doesn't feel so uncomfortable now. The satisfied man looked at the resentful little woman in his arms, raised the corners of his lips in pleasure, and coaxed softly, "Baby, can I give you a massage?" When Xiao Mianmian thought of the shameful scene just now, she felt ashamed and annoyed, and she didn't want to pay attention to him at all. He is so bad. Looking at such a stoic person, at that time, it was like a completely different person, so passionate that it scared her. Mo Yesi didn't mind at all when she ignored him. At such times, a man's patience is excellent. He carried her to the bedside, and just as he was about to put her on the bed, there was a sudden knock on the door. "Master, madam, lunch is ready." Ryan's voice sounded outside the door. "Mr. Chiao Chen is waiting for you to have dinner downstairs." Mo Yesi stopped and turned around with Xiao Mianmian in his arms. He looked down at her, raised his lips and said, "Baby, are you hungry? Shall we go down to eat now?" Xiao Mianmian was still annoyed about what happened just now. She glared at him and said in a bad tone, "Put me down and I will leave on my own. I don't want you to hold me." Xiao Chen is also there. She was embarrassed to let him carry her down. Otherwise, if Xiao Chen sees it, he will tease her again. The most important point is that Xiao Mianmian really doesn't want to pay attention to him now. As soon as she saw him, she couldn't help but think of what had just happened in the bathroom. Mo Yesi also knew that she was still embarrassed about what happened just now, and he didn't want to annoy her anymore, so he immediately put her down. As soon as Xiao Mianmian's feet landed on the ground, she immediately walked towards the door. She walked very fast, as if someone was chasing her behind her. He rushed out of the bedroom without looking back. Looking at the petite figure running away, Mo Yesi stood on the spot, the corners of his lips slightly raised, and a hint of dark fire flashed in his deep eyes. Did she think she could escape? It's just a matter of letting her go for now. When the day comes that he can touch her, he will work harder to get her back. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 232. Chapter 232. What? Did you really break up? Asterisk. Xiao Mianmian went downstairs with a blushing face and heartbeat. As soon as Xiao Chen saw her, he looked suspicious and said, "Sister, why are your face so red? Are you feeling uncomfortable somewhere?" "No." Facing Xiao Chen's inquiring and doubtful eyes, Xiao Mianmian felt guilty for no reason. As if it has been seen through. Even if she knew it, Xiao Chen couldn't see anything. After all, Xiao Chen is also a single guy who has never been in love once. But when she thought about that embarrassing thing, her face turned red. The face is uncontrollably hot. "Hey, where is my brother-in-law?" Xiao Chen looked around and found that Mo Yesi did not come down with Xiao Mianmian. "Ahem, your brother-in-law will be down soon." When mentioning Mo Yesi, Chiao Mianmian's eyes flickered twice and her face turned redder. Seeing her reaction, Chiao Chen became more confused. He frowned and stared at Chiao Mianmian. "Sister, are you hiding something from me?" "No." Chiao Mianmian's eyes flashed again, not daring to meet his eyes. She sat down opposite Chiao Chen, picked up her chopsticks and put a piece of food into his bowl. "Chen Chen, your brother-in-law is the chef here. The cooking is delicious. How do you like this dish?" Chiao Chen. He felt that there must be something wrong with his sister. Her brother-in-law hasn't even come down yet, why did she use the chopsticks? His sister is not such an unruly person. This unusual behavior seems to be deliberately diverting something. "Sister, you..." Just as Chiao Chen was about to say something, he heard Chiao Mianmian's cell phone ring. The moment Chiao Mianmian heard the ringtone of her cell phone, she immediately breathed a sigh of relief and immediately took out her cell phone. But when she lowered her head and saw the name displayed on the screen of her mobile phone, her expression changed. The phone's ringtone was still ringing, but Chiao Mianmian hesitated and didn't answer the call. Chiao Chen saw something was wrong and asked quickly, "Sister, who called?" Chiao Mianmian raised her head and glanced at him. "Ansu." Chiao Chen's expression also changed. "Ansu? Sister, haven't you broken up with Suzy? Why did Ansu call you?" "I haven't told them about Suzy's breakup yet." Chiao Mianmian thought for a while and said, "Maybe she called me because of this matter." The phone rang 2 or 3 more times. Chiao Mianmian hesitated for a moment, but picked it up. "Hello, Ansu." Mianmian, a middle-aged woman's voice came from the other side. She seemed a little excited and said in a high voice, "Suzy told me that you and him have broken up. Is this true?" Chiao Mianmian was silent for a few seconds and replied, "Ansu, it's true." "What? Did you really break up? When did this happen? Why didn't your Uncle Su and I know anything about it?" "Mian, why did you break up with Suzy? Aren't you both on good terms? Didn't you also say you wanted to get married?" The middle-aged woman seemed very sad and her voice dropped. "Mian, okay, why did you break up? You and Suzy have known each other for so many years, and Ansu has long treated you as her own daughter. Why did you just we broke up? Did Suzy do something sorry for you? Tell Ansu, and Ansu will help you deal with him. Mian, if you have any problems, you can tell me. Your Uncle Su and I are definitely on your side. But breaking up is not a trivial matter, so don't be impulsive. Thank you 188.56, 187.34, Wushang, Z23, 131.10, Tang for your reward, okay. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 233. Chapter 233. So, are you unhappy? Chiao Mianmian was silent for a few more seconds. Although she couldn't bear it, she still said directly, "Ansu, I am not impulsive. I made the decision after serious consideration. It is impossible for Suzy and I to reconcile." She didn't know that when she said this, Mo Yesi, who was walking behind her, paused and stood behind her. After a while, Chiao Mianmian's voice softened, "Ansu, don't be sad. Although Suzy and I have broken up, if you miss me, we can still meet." "Okay, I get it, I'll get there." After a moment, Chiao Mianmian hung up the phone. She frowned slightly, put away her phone, and said to Chiao Chen, Chen, I'm going to the Su family now. Suzy and I were engaged, and we really should officially tell his parents about our breakup." As soon as she said these words, The face of the man standing behind her turned gloomy. When Qiao Chen saw this scene, he winked at her hurriedly. Qiao Mian frowned again when she saw the winking look on his face. Chen, your eyes are cramped. Qiao Chen. Sister, brother-in-law is here. Qiao Chen stretched out a finger and pointed in the direction behind her. Qiao Mian finally reacted and turned around to see Mo Yesi standing behind her. It was only half a meter away from her. She glanced at the man's gloomy face and was stunned, guessing that he must have heard what she just said. Knowing that she was going to Sue's house. So, are you unhappy? Mo Yesi is a man who is very possessive. After she broke up with Suzy, he hoped that she would not have anything to do with the Su family. However, this is not realistic after all. She can stop seeing Suzy and stop having anything to do with Suzy, but it is impossible for her to completely draw a line with the Su family and never interact with her again. The person who betrayed her was Suzy. There is nothing wrong with Sue's father and Sue's mother. She just couldn't forgive Suzy, but she had no complaints about Sue's father and Sue's mother. Sue's mother called her just now and asked her to go to Sue's house. He said he wanted to talk to her face to face about breaking off the engagement. Her engagement with Suzy had been made since she was a child. If it was to be broken off, there should really be a formal ceremony, so she agreed. Did you hear what I said just now? Qiao Mian looked at him for a few seconds and asked directly. Even if Mo Yesi is unhappy, she still has to go to Sue's house. She needs to resolve the matter of breaking off the engagement once and for all. To avoid anything confusing happening again in the future. So even though it was obvious that Mo Yesi was unhappy, she continued despite the pressure. His parents didn't know about Suzy's breakup. Just now his mother called me and said she wanted to talk to me about it in person. So, I have to go to Sue's house now. The man's face seemed to darken again, and he frowned. After a few seconds of silence, he asked in a deep voice, Suzy is at home too. It should be there. Just now she didn't ask Sue's mother whether Suzy was at home. But she guessed she should be there. Perhaps Suzy had just told her about their breakup, and Sue's mother immediately called her to ask for confirmation. Mo Yesi pursed his lips, and after a moment, he took her hand and walked towards the dining table. Mo Yesi. Qiao Mian followed him for 2 steps and pulled off his arm. I went to Sue's house to completely terminate my engagement with Suzy. Once this matter is resolved, I will be back soon. Don't you? End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 234. Chapter 234 I'll send you there. She thought that Mo Yesi was unwilling to let her go, so she explained to him specially. Eat first. The man led her to the dining table, and immediately a maid came over and pulled out the dining chair. He pressed her shoulders and asked her to sit down, and sat down next to her. Facing her doubtful gaze, he tapped his slender fingers on the white dining table. The man looked at her with his deep and charming eyes. I'll take you there after dinner. Qiao Mian's face changed slightly. No need, I'd better go there by myself. He cares so much about Suzy. She was afraid that they would accidentally start a fight when they met. Mo Yesi stared at her with deep eyes for a few seconds, then raised the corners of his lips. Baby, do you think I will let you go alone? Qiao Mian, She doesn't think so. He was definitely worried about her going there alone. This matter is non-negotiable. The man still curled his lips with a gentle smile but a strong tone. I will send you there. Sister, I'll accompany you there too. Qiao Chen, who was sitting opposite them, heard the conversation between the two. My brother-in-law and I will send you there together, and we will support you. If anyone from the Su family dares to bully you, I will beat them up. Qiao Chen said while waving his fist. He is not worried that Su's father and Su's mother will bully his sister. He was worried about that Suzy. Moyesi picked up his chopsticks and put some vegetables into Chiao Mianmian's bowl, nodded and said, "You come with your sister too, and we'll support her." "Right." Chiao Chen clenched his fists, picked up the chopsticks and gave Chiao Mian a piece of fish, and said with a smile, "Sister, how could my brother-in-law and I let you go there alone at this time? If you are bullied, it's too late to help you. Let my brother-in-law and I accompany you to Sue's house." Chiao Mian looked at the man sitting next to her, then looked up at Chiao Chen opposite. After hesitating for a few seconds, she nodded helplessly. "All right." Looking at the postures of these two people, it would be useless even if she disagreed. However, before going, she had to say hello in advance. She thought for a while and said to Chiao Chen, Chen, when we arrive at Sue's house soon, you must hold back your temper and don't act impulsively. She was not afraid that Chiao Chen would hurt someone from the Su family. She was afraid that Chiao Chen would have another heart attack if he got emotional. After all, he was just discharged from the hospital today. Chiao Chen also knew what she was worried about. He nodded sensibly and assured, "Sister, don't worry. I will never take my body seriously." Asterisk. Su family. Sue's mother hung up the phone, raised her head and looked at Suzy, who was standing in front of her, and said with red eyes, "Aze, why did you and Mian break up? Did you do something to feel sorry for her? You tell me honestly." A hint of guilt appeared on Suzy's gentle and handsome face, his eyes flashed, and his expression quickly returned to normal. "Mom, Mian and I have no feelings for each other anymore, so we chose to break up peacefully. You also know that emotional matters cannot be forced. I know that you and Dad like her very much and hope that we can get married together, but we really have no feelings for each other anymore." "No feelings?" Sue's mother glared and said angrily, "Not long ago you were talking about getting married, and now you tell me that you have no feelings. Aze, I am your mother and I raised you since you were a child. Man. Do you think I will believe what you say about my own son?" End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 235. Chapter 235, Don't worry, this gift is too expensive. Tell me honestly, what did you do to make her so angry that she broke up with you? In Sue's mother's opinion, her son must have done something stupid. The reason for the breakup could never be Chiao Mianmian's fault. "Mom, Just as Suzy was about to explain, a maid came over, bowed to the two of them, and then said, "Madam, Master, the second young lady of the Chiao family is here." Mother Su frowned, "Second Miss Chiao? What is she here for?" Sue's mother doesn't like Chiao Angzan very much. "Of course, I don't hate it." Compared with Chiao Mian, Chiao Angzan's treatment at her place was very average. She would definitely be happy if Chiao Mian came to Sue's house. Suzy's expression changed slightly, he raised his head and glanced at the maid, and said calmly, "Invite her in." "Yes, master." The maid turned and left, and within a few minutes, she came in from the outside with Chiao Angzan. Chiao Angzan wore a small black dress, with exquisite makeup on her face. She was holding a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a bag from a certain luxury brand in the other hand. With a sweet and pleasant smile on her face, she slowly walked to Mother Su. "Auntie, I heard from Brother Ace that your birthday will be in a few days. I will be filming out of town and won't be able to come back to celebrate you. So I bought a gift for you in advance. I hope you will like it," she said and handed the bag she was carrying to Sue's mother. He handed the flowers to the maid on the side and said with a smile, "I also bought your favorite lily. This is a new variety flown from abroad. It is much prettier than ordinary lilies. Do you like it?" Sue's mother was stunned for a few seconds. As the saying goes, don't hit someone with a smiling face. What's more, Sue's mother has no prejudice against Jiao Angzhen. She can't say she likes or dislikes her. She hesitated for a moment, stretched out her hand to take the bag, and said with a smile, "Xin, you are too polite. Our Su family and Jiao family are family friends, so there is no need to be so familiar with my aunt." Jiao Angzhen pursed her lips and smiled, "Auntie, I don't know what you like, so I chose a gift for you based on my guess. Do you like it?" Suzy also said, "Yes, Mom, this is a gift that Angzhen spent a lot of time choosing for you. Do you like it?" The two of them sang in harmony. Even though the words he said were very ordinary, Mother Su could hear an unusual sense of intimacy in them. She glanced at the two of them suspiciously. Although she was a little confused, she didn't think much about it. She took out a sandalwood box from the bag. After opening the box, she saw a jade bracelet with excellent watercolor inside. Sumu also has some research on jade. One look at the watercolor of this bracelet, and she knew that it must be at least several million. There was a trace of surprise in her eyes. After slowly closing the box, she raised her head and looked at Jiao Angzhen. "Angzhen, this gift is too precious. The Jiao family's economy is not as good as before. Even if Jiao Angzhen could make money as a star, Sue's mother would still be surprised if she bought a bracelet worth millions and gave it to her. After all, her relationship with the second daughter of the Jiao family has always been ordinary. How could she give such an expensive gift? As long as Auntie likes it, that's fine," Jiao Angzhen said with a well-behaved and sensible look. "Besides, Auntie has a high status, so the things she wears must be chosen better. Otherwise, how can they be worthy of your noble status?" Here's today's update. Dear babies, go to bed early after reading the update. Even though it is a holiday, it is still not good to stay up late. Currently, 4 chapters are updated every day, 3 chapters are updated at 12 o'clock in the morning, and 1 chapter is updated in the morning. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 236. Chapter 236. So you don't want to break up with her? She gave such an expensive gift and bought her favorite lilies. At first glance, it seems that a lot of thought has been put into it. Plus she has such a sweet mouth, even if Sue's mother cannot fall in love with her right away, she still has a good impression of her. Her attitude towards Jiao Angzhen was much better than before, and she said with a smile, "My child, please take the trouble. Don't stand all the time, sit down quickly. Go and get Miss Jiao a cup of tea." The corners of Jiao Angzhen's lips raised slightly, and a trace of pride flashed in her eyes. She walked to sit opposite Mother Su and said obediently, "Thank you, Auntie." Suzy waited for her to sit down, then picked a seat next to her and sat down as well. These two positions are very close to each other. Although there is one sofa for each person, it looks like two people are sitting side by side on the same sofa. Mother Su looked at this scene, and the weird feeling just now emerged again. There are obviously other places nearby. Is the location Suzy picked too close to Jiao Angzhen? After Jiao Angzhen sat down, she turned her head and winked at Suzy, urging him to quickly tell Sue's mother about their affairs. She came to Sue's house this time to clarify her relationship with Suzy. Suzy received her gaze, hesitated, and said tentatively, "Mom, although Mian and I have broken up, my engagement with her has been made since we were children. If the engagement between the two families is terminated like this, will it appear that our Su family is not trustworthy?" When mentioning this matter, the smile on Sue's mother's face suddenly faded a lot. She glared at Suzy, "Are you still considering these things?" Suzy smiled and said, Mian initiated the breakup. She insists on breaking up with me. What can I do? Hearing him speak so helplessly, Sue's mother felt happy and felt hope. She immediately said, "So you don't want to break up with her?" Suzy opened his mouth. He originally wanted to deny it. But I don't know why, I hesitated. For a moment, he felt that he didn't really want to break up with Chiao Mian. If Chiao Angzan hadn't suddenly become pregnant. If Chiao Mian hadn't discovered that he and Chiao Angzan were together, he wouldn't have broken up with her. From the beginning, he never thought about actually being with Chiao Angzan. The wife he wanted had always been Chiao Mian. He really liked Chiao Mian. The first heartbeat and the most innocent relationship in his youth were all given to him by Chiao Mian. He and Chiao Angzan were together more for excitement. Chiao Mian is too conservative. They have been together for so long, and she is not willing to give her body to him. He is a normal man. Having been rejected by her so many times, Chiao Angzan appeared just when her desire had nowhere to vent. Everything after that was so logical. Chiao Angzan is not as beautiful as Chiao Mian, and her figure is not as good as Chiao Mian, but she is very good at serving him in bed. She filled the excitement and happiness that Chiao Mian could not give him. His heart is full of Chiao Mian, but he is also obsessed with Chiao Angzan's body. His original plan was to marry Chiao Mian and let Chiao be his lover. Who would have thought that Chiao Angzan would be pregnant? Thinking of this, Suzy frowned. His silence made Chiao Angzan beside him almost explode. Cough cough cough. Chiao Angzan covered her lips and coughed violently, then kicked him with a foot placed under the coffee table. Thank you 134.43, Wei, Z23, the cat who doesn't like to eat fish, 136.91, 130.130, 187.34 for the reward, wow. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 237. Chapter 237 Mom, don't speak so harshly. Suzy finally came back to his senses. Raising his eyes to meet Chiao Angzan's eyes that were about to burst into flames, he immediately said, "Mom, that's not what I meant. What I meant was that although she and I have broken up, our marriage can still continue." Count. Sue's mother was stunned. How to count? Suzy hesitated for a while, and then said, "The original engagement was that if the Chiao family gave birth to a daughter, I would marry the Chiao family's daughter." Mom, an Xin is also the Chiao family's daughter. Sue's mother was stunned. After a few seconds, her eyes widened in shock. She stood up in disbelief, pointed at Suzy and Chiao Angzan, her voice was trembling, You. The words have been made clear, and Suzy no longer avoids his relationship with Chiao Angzan. He also took Chiao Angzan and stood up, "Mom, I am already with Angzan." Chiao Angzan pursed her lips, and the little bird leaned towards Suzy, with a sincere look on her face, "Auntie, Brother A's and I really love each other, please help us." As soon as Chiao Angzan finished speaking, she saw a teacup flying towards her. Her expression suddenly changed, and she immediately shrank into Suzy's arms, hugging him and exclaimed, "Brother A's." Suzy also saw the teacup flying over. He hugged Chiao Angzan tightly and hurriedly stepped aside to avoid it. A pop sound. The blue and white porcelain teacup fell to the ground and was smashed into pieces. The hot teacup inside spilled out and hit Chiao Angzan's calf. "You're dreaming." Mother Sue was so angry that she was trembling all over and even her eyes were red. "You shameless woman. Mian is your sister, and you actually stole your sister's man. How can you be so disgusting? It turns out that Mian broke up with Ace because of you, a shameless woman. It's not good for you to seduce anyone. Why did you seduce my son? He and Mian are going to get married soon. If you do this, won't you feel guilty?" Sue's mother never expected that the reason why Jiao Mian and Suzy broke up was because of this incident. Her son actually got together with the second daughter of the Jiao family. Sue's mother felt as if someone had slapped her face, it was burning. Originally, she was thinking of a way to get Suzy and Jiao Mian back together. She really likes Jiao Mian and wants this girl to marry into their Su family and become her daughter-in-law. But at the moment when she knew the truth, Sue's mother knew very well that getting back together was impossible. She knows Jiao Mian. That girl looks soft and speaks softly, as if she has a good temper and is easy to talk to. But in fact, her character is not as soft as it seems on the surface. She will not back down on issues of principle. At this moment, Sue's mother felt regretful, disappointed, and angry. She never thought that the son she was most proud of would do such an unforgivable thing. Cheating was already too much, and he even cheated on another daughter of the Jiao family. Jiao Angzhen was lying in Suzy's arms, her face turned blue after being scolded by Sue's mother. She gritted her teeth, with a gloomy look on her face. When she raised her head, another face immediately appeared, and she shouted aggrievedly and pitifully, "Brother Ace." Suzy looked down at her pitiful appearance, and felt a little pity in his heart. The hand around her waist tightened, and he held Jiao Angzhen in his arms in a protective posture. "Mom, don't speak so harshly." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 238. Chapter 238. She is pregnant with our Su family's child. No matter what, Mian and I have broken up, and it is impossible for us to get back together. An Xin has paid a lot for me and sacrificed a lot. I will be responsible for her and marry her. What did you say? Mother Su looked at him in disbelief. Suzy took a deep breath. I said I would be responsible for an Xin. You bastard, how could I give birth to such a son like you? Mother Su was furious, rushed over and slapped Suzy on the face. You don't know how to cherish such a good girl like Mian. You actually did such an outrageous thing and hurt her. I will teach you a lesson today, let you know what is right and what is wrong. She said and raised her hand again. Auntie, don't hit Brother Ace. Jiao Angzhen cried and grabbed Sue's mother's hand, broke away from Suzy's arms, stood in front of him, and cried, Brother Ace is not wrong, I deliberately seduced him. It's me who is shameless, it's me who is shameless. It was me who couldn't control my heart and fell in love with him. He is a normal man, he just cannot withstand the active temptation of women. I was the one who forced him to break up with his sister. I did everything by myself. If you want to hit me, just hit me. Don't hit Brother Ace anymore. Sue's mother was very angry. Being stopped by her and hearing her words, I was even more angry that my hands and feet were trembling. Okay, you vixen. She pinched Jiao Angzhen's wrist with her backhand, raised her hand and slapped her in the face. You shameless woman, give me back my daughter-in-law. You seduced your sister's man, causing me to lose my good friend Mian my daughter-in-law. Give it back to me, give it back to me. Mom, you can't worry about it. Before Su Mu's slap fell, Suzy's expression changed and he hurriedly stepped forward to stop her. Get out of my way and let me beat that shameless vixen to death. The more he blocked her, the angrier Sue's mother became, and she stretched out her hand to push him away. Suzy stood motionless in front of Jiaoan, preventing Sue's mother from hurting her in the slightest. Mom. He pursed his lips forbearingly, and after a few seconds of silence, he said to Sue's mother, who was still very emotional, Angzhen is pregnant. She is pregnant with our Su family's child, you can't do anything to her. What? What did you say? Sue's mother was stunned immediately, her eyes filled with astonishment. Suzy closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and repeated what she just said, Angzhen is pregnant, and she has your grandson in her belly. She is pregnant with my grandson. These words were like a bomb dropped into the lake, which shocked Sue's mother completely. "Auntie, the baby is just 2 months old. I just went for a checkup a few days ago. It's a very healthy baby." Looking at Sue's mother's shocked expression, Xiao Angzhen slowly walked out from behind Suzy. A trace of pride flashed through her eyes, but her face showed a well-behaved and gentle expression. She bit her lip and choked. "Because of this baby, Brother Ace and I decided to get married early. Auntie, you don't want your future either. After the grandson is born, there is no complete family. Auntie, I really love Brother Ace. Otherwise, I would not have been pregnant with his child when my career was on the rise. Being pregnant with this baby will also have a great impact on my career. So, I hope you can make it happen." Us. Suzy reached out and took Xiao Angzhen into his arms, thinking that she would rather put all the blame on one person than defend him, and he couldn't help but feel moved in his heart. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 239. Chapter 239. Don't let your heart waver again. He felt even more pity for her. He lowered his head and glanced at the woman in his arms, and said in a firm voice, "Mom, an Xin has my child. I must marry her." Asterisk. A black Rolls-Royce parked outside the gate of the Su family villa. After the car stopped, Xiao Mian reached out and unbuckled her seat belt. She glanced at the man next to her, thought for a moment, and said, "You and Chen Chen should wait for me in the car for a while. I will handle the matter as soon as possible. If there is any emergency, I will call you." She came here today mainly to resolve the matter of breaking off her engagement with Suzy. "I did not bring people here to demonstrate. If she takes Mo Yesi and Xiao Chen to the Su family now, the Su family might think that she cheated on him with another man first. At that time, she will be the one who made the mistake. She doesn't want this to happen. Mo Yesi can handle complex matters in the business world well, and his thinking is naturally better than that of ordinary people." He also thought of the situations that Xiao Mian considered. After pondering for a few seconds, he nodded and said, "Okay." Xiao Mian picked up the satchel placed next to her, opened the car door with one hand, and prepared to get out of the car. "Wait." Behind him, the man's deep magnetic voice sounded softly. She turned her head. "Is there anything else?" Mo Yesi curled his lips, leaned over, reached out to touch her silky shawl hair, and said in a low voice, "You have to promise me one thing before I can let you go." Xiao Mian blinked and asked in confusion, "What's the matter?" Mo Yesi stared at her with deep eyes, and after a while, he said in a deep voice, "No matter how good Suzy's parents are to you, no matter what they say to you later, you are not allowed to be soft-hearted. Xiao Mian, you have already married me and you will become my wife. Don't let your heart waver again. I will not allow such a thing to happen." Xiao Mian quickly understood. Honestly, is he afraid that she will be said to be soft-hearted by Suzy's parents and then get back together with Suzy? She felt that he was overthinking everything. Even if they had not gotten married, it would be impossible for her to get back together with Suzy. How could she cheat on a man who cheated on her sister? Even if Suzy knelt on the ground and begged her, it would still be impossible. She does have some feelings for Sue's father and mother, but this is completely different from her not forgiving Suzy. Besides, now that she has such an outstanding husband like him, she's not interested in turning around at all. Okay. But when she thought that this man had these worries and became so unconfident because he cared about her, Xiao Mian couldn't help but feel a sweet feeling in her heart. The corners of her lips raised a little, and she didn't care whether Xiao Chen would laugh at her in the future. In the man's stunned expression, she put her arms around his neck, raised her head and kissed his soft thin lips. This kiss only lasted for a second. She kissed him quickly, and before he could react, she quickly pulled away. Well, I promise you. I will make a clean break with Suzy. After saying this, before Moyesi could react, Chiao Mian opened the car door and jumped out. Boom. The sound of the car door closing, mixed with the sound of her heart beating wildly, echoed in her ears. Chiao Mian's face was as hot as fire. It seems like every pore on the face is steaming out. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 240. Chapter 240 has a very different meaning. Her heart was still beating wildly, and the violent vibrations shook her entire chest. The intense frequency and force seemed to shake her chest open. She hurriedly reached out to cover her chest, her face getting hotter and hotter when she thought of the shallow kiss just now. This was the first time she took the initiative to kiss a man. She has never done anything so bold before. In her relationship with Suzy, Suzy was always the one who took the initiative. I didn't know what happened just now, but suddenly I wanted to do that. Looking back now, I feel so shy. Her boldness only lasted a moment, and her impulsiveness lasted only a moment. Now if she were allowed to go back to that time, she felt that she would be embarrassed to take the initiative to kiss Moyesi again. Asterisk. Outside the car, Chiao Mian blushed and her heart beat wildly. In the car, someone who was kissed was still dazed. Moyesi still maintained the same posture and expression as when he was kissed by Chiao Mian, motionless. It was just a light kiss that wasn't even an itching. To be precise, the kiss just now couldn't be called a real kiss. It just touched each other's lips and it was gone. However, just such a so-called kiss made Moyesi stunned for a long time. He looked like a young boy who had never seen the world, and he didn't come back to his senses for a long time. The scene of Chiao Mian kissing him just now appeared repeatedly in his mind. She was originally a shy and timid woman. It must have taken a lot of courage to be able to do what he did just now. This was the first time Chiao Mian took the initiative to kiss her. This kiss has a very different meaning to Moyesi. After a full minute, he turned his head, curled his lips, and looked out the car window with deep eyes. He pressed his slender jade-like fingers to his lips and touched the spot where he had just been kissed, with a pleasant smile in his eyes. Chiao Chen, who was sitting in the passenger seat, saw the scene just now in the rearview mirror and opened his mouth in surprise. He even wondered if the person he just saw was his sister. When did his sister become so enthusiastic and proactive? She has never done anything like offering a kiss to Suzy, right? But thinking about it this way, Chiao Chen felt very relieved. It seems that his sister has finally come to her senses. You will also learn to be more proactive with the man you like. Well, that's a good thing. Men also like it when a woman takes the initiative occasionally. Look at the rippling smile on his brother-in-law's face, isn't it because he likes her so much? Brother-in-law. Chiao Chen also turned to look out the car window and saw Chiao Mian knocking on the door of Su's house. After walking in, he asked a little uneasily, "Do we really not need to go in with my sister?" "Well, just wait in the car." Because of the kiss just now, Moyesi was in a much happier mood, and there was a smile in his deep and cold voice. "When your sister handles this matter, I will take you to see the car when you get back. If there is a car you like, just tell me and I'll send it to you. But don't tell your sister about this, she doesn't really agree with me giving you a car." At first, Chiao Chen thought that Moyesi's offer to give him a car was just a casual remark. It's not really meant to be given to him. But now, when he found out that Moyesi really planned to give him a car, he became a little uneasy and said excitedly, "Brother-in-law, you really want to give me a car?" The domineering president, Mr. Mo, said, "Yes, it is really a gift. Money is so willful. End of this chapter.